Hi class, in this video, I'm going to be going over your topic 2 assignment connected to your lesson plan or unit plan that you're designing. And this week is all about designing instruction for student engagement and mastery. Now, when we look at our science unit plan, you guys will be adding in your instructional strategies this week. Now, I find this section to be the second most important area that you need to develop within your unit plan. And now, you'll notice in our readings this week, you also have a 5E model for teaching inquiry science. The 5E model is kind of the best model to use for teaching science. In fact, one of my pieces of feedback to GCU has been that they wish their unit plan followed the 5E model. So as a student, you could incorporate that 5E model when you think about your instructional strategies. Now, if you did get any feedback on tightening up objectives, any standards or anything like that, you want to make sure you apply that feedback before adding in your instructional activities. All right, so let's talk about this section. So to this point, you would have had your vocabulary, learning objectives, standards, and your rationale built. Now you want to identify instructional strategies and then summarize them. I am looking for a level of detail where I can visualize your lesson and how it's going to roll out in the classroom. So I could pick up this unit plan and I could go into a classroom and I could teach it myself. So please really try to push yourself to detail everything out. Okay. So let's say up to this point, your instructional strategies you were going to choose, you're going to want to choose things. You might bullet them. You might say that we're going to use a science journal. You might say we're going to use maybe a cooperative learning strategy, such as, think, pair, share. And then you might include a few other strategies that you read about or learned about. You might have them do some data analysis, whatever strategies you choose. You can list them out here. But really in the summary section is really where I want to see the bread and butter of your unit. So explain to me step by step what this is going to look like. So I've seen students where they write the 5Es for me. So first they say I'm going to engage students, and maybe they write ask students what they know about the moon. So there maybe, and then have class discussion and jot down their ideas. Jot down students' ideas. And then maybe you're going to have an exploration activity. So maybe you decided you wanted to use a simulation of the moon phases. And then here you're going to explain that. Students will go to moon simulation and explore the moon phases. Working together, they will create a timeline of the moon phases. So see how I'm giving you a really good level of detail on what this lesson is going to look like. Now, I might be writing this and I might go, wait a minute, my objective, students will be able to explain patterns they see when observing the moon. Oh, this is actually going to work out good because they're going to look at the phases of the moon in this simulation and they're going to be able to explain that. So I'm going to make sure it goes in here. The next phase of the 5E model is explain. So students will share what they found in explorations, and I will teach each phase to students formally. Okay. Now that might be all you do for that day. That could be the end of it. Or you might end up going into the next two phases of the 5E model, which are um, evaluate and elaborate. Elaborate and evaluate. You might say, give students a moon journal for them to start drawing what they see in the night sky. And then my evaluate might be an exit ticket. And I might evaluate students. Now, just so you know, there is assessment down here. So I would probably move that evaluate to another week, So I might put the 4 stages of the 5E model here. And then you can see that my exit ticket might be down in a different week. So this is the level of detail that I'm looking for. See how when I write some of these instructional strategies, I am going to then explain what it's going to look like in the action. Anybody could pick this up. They could go, oh, I'm going to go teach this lesson with my students, and they should be able to do it. And you'll notice how everything was directly connected to that objective, directly connected to that standard. This should feel like a cohesive unit, not something where you're doing different learning each day. Sometimes students really feel like they need different standards each day, but you don't. It takes time to teach a full standard. All right, so that's what you have to do this week. And then in your reflection, you're going to talk about the instructional practices and really talk about these practices that promote critical thinking and problem-solving skills. This is all connected to your readings about inquiry, about the learner-centered classroom, and what best instruction looks like for science. Best instruction for science does not look like I'm teaching students, but it looks like students are exploring, figuring things out on themselves, thinking about it and going, wait a minute. When I did this moon simulation, I noticed that it keeps going back and the moon looks the same when it's waning and it looks the same when it's waxing, but they're actually facing a different way. Whoa, why does that happen? Having them figure them out instead of me going, here are the phases of the moon. The first phase is the new moon. That's not what best practice looks like in science. Kids should be telling you these things based on explorations. I can't wait to see what you come up with for your instructional strategies this week. Reach out if you guys have any questions about the assignment or best practices or any ideas you might want to brainstorm. Have a wonderful week.